Hello, good morning to all. Welcome today, 2026 January 21st. Happy Mercury Day. And so many days we will long gap about doing the GST skits. Now today I am discuss about the GST Act uh, concern related to KGST Act. KGST Act means Karnataka Goods and Service Tax Act 2017. In this act, the GST under tax collection 174 total articles in this act. So 174 total articles. I don't go to brief explanation about detail. I will go to briefly only mention the article details only from one article 1 to article 174. The KGST Act 2017 launched at the same time when GST Act launched July 1st, 2017. On that time, the KGST Act also launched to the Commercial Tax Department, Karnataka. Okay, just I will take coffee and also. So we will discuss. I am discussing about the KGST Act 2017. First is Article 1. So before start the KGST Act articles, the keywords mentioned in the Act book: goods and service tax, address on record, agent, agriculturalist, burners, amendments appended. And the first article of the KGST Act is short title extent and commencement. In these articles include subarticles also. Subarticles 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And subarticle 1A, subarticle 1B, subarticle 1C, subarticle 1D, subarticle 1E, and subarticle 2A, subarticle 2B, 2C, etc. etc. And then I told about I will try to 174 articles completed in this kit within 10 to 15 or 20 minutes. I will try. And article 2 is definitions. In this definitions article 2, so many 1, 2, 3 subarticles and also ABCD articles. Next, under KGST Act, part 2, the administration, about it tells about administration, article 3. Part 2 and Article 3, ABCDF officers under this Act tells about something. And Article 4, appointment of officers. And Article 5, powers of officers. And Article 6, authorization of officers of central tax as proper officer in certain circumstances. To close the total 6 articles, I'll go to part 3rd. Part 3rd tells about what levy and collection of tax. It's very important part of KGST Act. In this in this part, the Article 7, and then tells it Article 7, scope of supply. Scope of supply. And the Article 8, tax liability on composite and mixed supplies tells about this. And Article 9, levy and collection. Article 10, composition levy. And Article 11, power to grant exemption from tax. And Chapter 4, till completed Chapter 3. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. I told also Chapter 1, 2, 3, Part 1, 2, 3. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. Now I am going to Chapter 4. Chapter 4 tells about the time and value of supply. In this chapter, Article 12, time of supply of goods. Article 13, time of supply of services. Article 14, change in rate of tax in respect of supply of goods or series. Article 15, value of taxable supply. The next chapter, fifth, chapter 5 tells about input tax credit, ITC. It is very important. In this chapter, Article 16, eligibility and conditions of taking input tax credit. ITC means input tax credit. I don't go to details or tells about articles. We can detail study and reading the GST Act book. This is the GST Act book, KGST Act book. In this Act book, explain the every one article detailedly and then rule and sub rules and details. We can read the Act book of KGST Act with concern any article detail for studying purpose. Total 174 articles it includes, and I'm going to detail of explanation this KGST Act book because the lack of time I don't go to explanation of Act book. So after Article 16, Article 17, Article 17 tells a apportionment of credit and blocked credits. And sub-article includes 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And to know the sub-rules with explanation rules in the Act book. And Article 18, availability of credit in special circumstance. Article 19, taking input tax credit in respect of inputs and capital goods sent for job work. The complete Article 19, Article 20, manner of distribution of credit by input service distributor. And Article 21, manner of recovery of credit distributed in excess. Complete Article 21 and complete Chapter 5. The ITC is where main concept in GST Act. ITC means some cases collected crores together and lakhs together. In ITC cases, when the taxpayer claimed ineligible ITC, in that situation the authority issued the ITC block order and recovery the concern ineligible ITC amount to the repayment to the government and concerned interest and penalty by the taxpayer. And so many cases and large cases and small minor cases and major cases, so many authorities of GST wings of Karnataka Commercial Tax Department and 30 or 50 crores or 30 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs or crores together, lakhs together, lot of tax and interest and penalty collected by the taxpayer through government GST concerned wings and concerned authorities. It is ITC concept. And I will go to chapter 6th. Registration. It's very important chapter of KGST Act. Registration. Article 22, persons liable for registration. Article 23, persons not liable for registration. Article 24, compulsory registration in certain cases. Article 25, procedure for registration. Procedure for registration. Article 26, deemed registration. Article 27, special provisions relating to casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person. And Article 28, amendment of registration. Article 29, cancellation of registration. And Article 30, revocation of cancellation of registration. Article 28, detailed amendment of registration. Article 29, cancellation of registration. Article 30, revocation. Article 20, amendment. Registration amendment, that is in the amendment core to specification of amendment, two types in amendment, one core amendment, another non-core amendment. Core amendment related to change of address of business premise, and non-core amendment related to the core amendment related to taxpayer of the mobile number and email ID. Core amendment related to change of the mobile number and taxpayer, change of the mobile number and email ID of the taxpayer. It is core amendment. And non-core amendment is the change of address of the business premise of the taxpayer. Next, chapter 7 tells tax invoice, credit and debit notes. Article 31, tax invoice. Article 32, prohibition of unauthorized collection of tax. Next, Article 33, amount of tax to be indicated in tax invoice and other documents. Article 34, credit and debit notes. And then chapter 8, accounts and records. Article 35, in this chapter, article continue the articles. 35, accounts and other records. Article 36, period of return of accounts. And I will go to chapter 9, returns. 37, article, furnishing details of outward supply. 38, furnishing details of inward supply. And article 39, furnishing of returns. Article 40, first return. Article 41, claim of input tax credit and provisional acceptance thereof. Article 42, matching, reversal and reclaim of input tax credit. Article 43, matching, reversal and reclaim of reduction in input tax liability. Article 44, annual return. Article 45 tells final return. Article 46, notice to return defaulters. It is very important. Article 47, levy of late fee. And Article 48, goods and service tax practitioners. Article 48. And then I will go to chapter 10. Already 12 minutes gone this in this kit. In this article, chapter 9 is very important. And chapter 10 I will go to payment of tax. Article 49, payment of tax, interest, penalty and other amounts. Article 50, interest and delayed payment of tax. Article 51, tax deduction at source. It related TDS. Article 52, collection of tax at source. Article 53, transfer of input tax credit. So completed Article 53s. And we will go to chapter 11. Chapter 11, refunds. It relates to refunds. Refunds gives LGS to us only. And before issued the refund, verification and all audit assessment and notice certificate by the enforcement and vigilance other wings. That's all also. Article 54, refund of tax. 55, refund in certain cases. Article 56, interest on delayed refunds. Article 57, consumer welfare fund. Article 58, utilization of fund. Next, chapter 12, assessment. In this chapter, Article 59, self-assessment. Article 60, provisional assessment. Article 61, scrutiny of returns. Article 62, assessment of non-filers of returns. Article 63, assessment of unregistered persons. Article 64, summary assessment in certain special cases. And chapter 13, audit. Chapter 13 relates audit. In this chapter, Article 65, audit by tax authorities. Article 66, special audit. And also include sub-rules. In these are all articles. And then chapter 14. Chapter 14, inspection, search, seizure and arrest. It is very important. Inspection, search, seizure and arrest. In this chapter, Article 67, power of inspection, search and seizure. Article 68, inspection of goods in movement. Article 69, process to arrest. It's very important article. Article 70, power to summons persons to give evidence. Power to summon persons to give evidence and produce documents. Article 71, access to business premises. Article 72, officers to assist proper officers. Next, chapter 15. Chapter 15 tells demands and recovery. In this chapter, Article 73, determination of tax not paid or short paid or erroneously refunded or input tax credit or wrongly availed or utilized for any reason other than fraud or any willful misstatement or suppression of facts. Article 74, determination of tax not paid or short paid or erroneously refunded or input tax credit uh, wrongly availed or utilized by reason of fraud or any willful misstatement or suppression of facts ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 75, ಜನರಲ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡಿಟರ್ಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 76, ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಬಟ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಟು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 77, ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ wrongly collected and paid to central government or state government. Article 78, initiation of recovery proceedings. Article 79, recovery of tax. Article 80, payment of tax and other amount in installments. Article 81, transfer of property to be waived in certain cases. Article 82, tax to be first charge on property. Article 83, provisional attachment to protect revenue in certain cases. Article 84, constitution and validation of certain recovery proceedings. So complete article till 84. Article 84 completed, and I will go to chapter 16. Chapter 16, liability to pay in certain cases. In this chapter, Article 85, liability in case of transfer of business. Article 86, liability of agent and principal. Article 87, liability in case of amalgamation or merger of companies. Article 88, liability in case of company in liquidation. Article 89, liability of directions of private company. Next, Article 90, liability of partners of firm to pay tax. Article 91, liability of guardians, trustees, etc. Article 92, liability of court of words. Article 93, special provisions regarding liability to pay tax, interest or penalty in certain cases. Article 94, liability in other cases. Till completed Article 94 and Article 95 complete in chapter 17. In the chapter 17, advance ruling. Article 95 in this chapter, definitions. Article 96, constitution of authority for advance ruling. Article 97, application for advance ruling. Article 98, procedure and receipt of application. Article 99, constitution of appellate authority for advance ruling. Very important. This it tells appeal. The commercial tax departments also, some wings are there. One is LGSTO admin, and another vigilance, and another enforcement, and other appeal, admin, audit, enforcement, vigilance, intelligence. Appeal, admin, audit, enforcement, vigilance. There are 5 wings in this department. 99, constitution of appellate. It goes already. I will go to Article 100, appeal to the appellate authority. Article 101, orders of appellate authority. Article 102, rectification of advance ruling. Article 103, applicability of advance ruling. Article 104, advance ruling to be void in certain circumstances. Article 105, powers of authority and appellate authority. Article 106, procedure of authority and appellate authority. The completed Article 106 and Uh, Next, start chapter 18. In this chapter 18, appeals and revision. It relates appeal being it in this chapter, Article 107, appeals to appellate authority. Article 108, powers of provisional authority. Article 109, appellate tribunal and uh, benches tariff. Benches. Appellate tribunal and benches tariff. Article 110, president and numbers of appellate tribunal, their qualification, appointment, conditions of service, etc. Article 111, procedure before appellate tribunal. Article 112, appeals to appellate tribunal. Article 113, orders of appellate tribunal. Article 114, financial and administrative powers of state president. Article 115, interest on refund of amount paid for admission of appeal. For admission of appeal. 116, appearance by authorized representative. Next, Article 117, appeal to High Court appeal office. Article 118, appeal to Supreme Court. Though it tells about appeal. The chapter 18 concern about appeal. Article 119, sums are due to be paid not withstanding appeal. Article 120, appeal not to be filed in certain cases. Article 121, non-appellate discussions and orders. So, completed articles 121, and I will go to chapter 19. The chapter 19 tells about offences and penalties. The lakhs together, crores together, penalty and interest tax collected by this department to the state and central government. When comes 1 lakh, in the 1 lakh include SGST and CGST compulsory. It can ITC, it can it may be ITC, it may be tax, it may be tax, it may be interest, it may be penalty. When comes 1 lakh 50,000, central government goes to central government and 50,000 goes to state government. Though our tax income 50% go to central government, only 50%, here only state government only. 100 ಚೀಲ ಭತ್ತ ಬೆಳೆದ್ರೆ 50 ಚೀಲ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಬರೀ 50 ಚೀಲ ನಮಗೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ IGST ಸೆಸ್ ಅದು ಇದು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು 25 ಚೀಲ ಹೋದರೆ ಬರೀ 25 ಚೀಲ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷ ಬದುಕಬೇಕು ನಾವು, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇದರ ಅರ್ಥ. ಇರಲಿ, ಇದು ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಮತ್ತು GST ರೀಫಂಡ್ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ನಿಂದ ನಾವು GST ಪರಿಹಾರ, ಕಾಂಪನ್ಸೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ GST ಅಂತ ನಾವು ತಗೊಂತೀವಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ನವರು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ 19, ಅಫೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪೆನಾಲ್ಟೀಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 122, ಪೆನಾಲ್ಟಿ ಫಾರ್ ಸರ್ಟೈನ್ ಅಫೆನ್ಸಸ್. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 123, ಪೆನಾಲ್ಟಿ ಫಾರ್ ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಟು ಫರ್ನಿಶ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 124, ಫೈನ್ ಫಾರ್ ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಟು ಫರ್ನಿಶ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 125, ಜನರಲ್ ಪೆನಾಲ್ಟಿ. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 126, ಜನರಲ್ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಪೆನಾಲ್ಟಿ. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 127, ಪವರ್ ಟು impose penalty in certain cases. Article 128, power to view penalty or fee or both. Next, Article 129, detention, seizure and release of goods and conveyance in transit. Article 130, confiscation of goods or conveyance and levy of penalty. Article 131, confiscation of a penalty not to be interfere with other punishments. Article 132, punishment for certain offences. Article 134, cognizance of offences. Article 135, presumption of culpable mental state ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 136, ರಿಲಿವೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸರ್ಟೈನ್ ಸರ್ಕಮ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್. Article 137, offences by companies. Article 138, compounding of offences. Chapter 20 next. Chapter 20 tells about transitional provisions. Article in this chapter, Article 139, migration of existing taxpayer. ಮೈಗ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ವಲಸೆ ಒಂದು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ಸಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದಿಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದು. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 140 ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಿಷನಲ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 141 ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಿಷನಲ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಜಾಬ್ ವರ್ಕ್. ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 142 ಮಿಸ್ಲೇನಿಯಸ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಿಷನಲ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್. Next, chapter 21, miscellaneous. In this chapter, maybe in chapter 21, after chapter 21, last 21 chapter last after comes schedule 1 2 3 schedules. There are 3 schedules. Schedules are smaller short. Chapter 21st miscellaneous. In this chapter, article 143 job work procedure. Article 144 presumption of goods documents in certain cases. Article 145 admissibility of microfilms, facsimile copies and documents on the computer printers as a document and as evidence. Article 146 common portal. Article 147 demand export. Common portal is relates taxpayer. Article 148 special procedure for certain process. Article 149 goods and service tax complaints rating. Article 150 obtains obligation to furnish information return. Article 151 power to collect statistics. Article 152 bar and disclose of information. Article 153 taking assistance from an expert. Article 154 power to take samples. Article 155 burden of proof. Next, Article 156 of the KGST Act 2017. Article 156 persons deemed to be public servants. Article 157 protection of action taken under this act. Article 158 disclosure of information by a public servant. Article 159 publication of information in respect of persons in certain cases. Article 160 assessment proceedings etc. to be invalid on certain grounds. Article 161 registration of errors appointment on the face of record. Article 162 bar on jurisdiction of civil courts. Article 163 leave of fee. Article 164 power of government to make rules. Article 165 power to make regulations. Article 166 leaving of rules, regulations and notifications. Article 167 delegation of powers. Article 168 power to issue instructions or directions. Article 169 service of notice in certain circumstances. Next, Article 170 bounding of tax. Article 171 anti-profiteering measure. Article 172 removal of difficulties. Article 173 repeals. Article 174 saving. To close the all articles of KGST Act 2017, in this act total include 174 articles. After comes schedule first activities to be and section 7 activities to be treated as supply when even of mail without consideration. Schedule 2 section 7 about it tells activities to be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. And also in this schedule miscellaneous considered this part of KGST Act 2017 1 to 7. One is transfer, second is land building. Next, third treatment of produces, and fourth transfer of business assets. 5 supply of services. 6 composite supply. 7 supply of goods. And schedule third it relates to section 7. See section 7 maybe in the GST book. Activities are transactions which shall be treated neither as a supply of goods nor a supply of services. So completed KGST Act all articles and chapters, total 21 chapters and 174 articles and 3 miscellaneous 3 schedules. Schedules include 7 articles. Total 174 articles, 21 chapters include in of KGST Act 2017. So in this kit, any small errors, please mm, uh, I will give apology to all. And then because briefly and my developing of GST knowledge and collected the tax skills about preparing this kit YouTube channel in this day today 174 articles and 21 parts chapters of KGST Act is very important for collected tax interest and related to the government, two governments, central and state governments. These are all total GST KGST Act details. The very important of the any staff of tax department, commercial tax department only. So thank you one and all. It's this is preparing for to mine and also for knowledge of GST. Okay, thank you. Good morning to all once again.